Good evening, my friend. Would you like to bring your philosophy forward on the power of the journey within?
Good morning. It is always an absolute pleasure to come forward and to share wisdom here on the physical world. It has taken me quite a lot of practice and a lot of energy to be able to transform in such a way where I can really take full occupancy of my medium. And that has really been something that is a huge achievement, bearing in mind that it has always been rather challenging to be able to transition in occupying this space, but being able to fill it with my presence, my energy, and my personality is quite a remarkable thing. And I feel I'm going to touch on this as the journey that one needs to understand, that when we look at a journey will always be very different to the individual. Those on their spiritual journey, whether it be to develop talents, whether it's energy work, whether it's blending with spirit or understanding the dynamic between physical trance and mental mediumship, whether it just be healing in the form of touch, each individual will have a journey that's very unique to that person. And it all stems from the soul, from the lifetimes that the person or the soul has endured, will determine the level and the depth of journey that spiritual journey will unfold. And I guess if I look at the journey that my medium has been on, it has been a challenging one. And I'm linking his journey with the subject because when we look into a spiritual journey, the challenges that one needs to face at some parts can be very stressful, but at the same time can be almost uncomfortable in a way that the mind begins to interfere with, am I wasting my time because I'm not getting the reward or the results I'm hoping for? And like anything, when the time is right and the energy is in alignment with what it needs to be, the reward and the results will come in bucket loads. But we need to be patient. And I guess on this journey, one needs to be patient. If you're going to journey with the expectation becomes the ego. And the ego then becomes the barrier and does not allow the unfoldment to unravel as it should. And when we unravel in a way that we get to the true core of the individual. But if we can't unravel to that true core, we barricade and we block and we hinder the development, because like many layers to an onion, each layer is a form of attunement, a form of nurturing one's learning. And as one layer unravels, so the next will unravel afterward. But if the ego comes into play, then unfortunately the process begins to stop And the unfolding or the unraveling of that journey then becomes temporarily suspended until the medium overcomes the hurdle and the quiet suspension. It will then begin to unravel again. But that doesn't always happen when the time is needed, when the right timing is there. Then it will continue. When we get to obstacles or hurdles, there is something we need to realize, that we need to discover about ourselves before the next unraveling can occur. And I guess that's where the patience comes in, because a lot of the time we want to know when it's all going to happen and what are the rewards going to be at the end, and when will I feel that I've achieved something. And we want to know exactly when that will happen, but at the same time, the date and the year in which it's going to become a true accomplishment. But it doesn't work like that. And that's why I'm talking about journeys being very unique. Because people who sit on a spiritual path are journeying at their own pace, at a pace that's manageable for them. What's manageable for you will be different to my medium. And it also depends how much time and how much commitment you're willing to put in. Because, like you know, consistency is key. And so when we look at a journey, each journey will be different. But depending on how much time and commitment you're willing to invest will determine the length of that journey and what you want out of it at the end. Not everybody wants to connect with spirit. Some just want to be in the energy, blend with the energy, and to connect with energy more so than work in the way that you and I work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what makes each journey unique. And a bespoke journey is very much, you know, when the medium has got true intention of what it is they want and what it is that they want to achieve, then the journey is very much built to align with the intention. But again, that's not an easy one, because that's more challenging in a way, because you are then creating a pathway that is very much a bespoke and clear way forward. But there's lots of learning that needs to be done before that, because you would read a book and get, you know, an examination and pass to complete that model, and then that module will then be repeated in the next and the next and the next. And yes, I guess you study a degree and that's what you want, but you've got your practicals and you've got your exams and you've got everything. And then afterwards you get your qualification. And I guess when we go on a bespoke journey, like what my medium is on, it's very much tailored to what he wants to achieve at the end. But it's not what he wants, it's what the soul is yearning towards.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, people will gravitate towards what they want, what they believe they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're not listening to what they ought to do.
Mm.
This is where the hindrance comes in, because what they're trying to do is to live based on what they've watched or what they've seen or what they've heard, and they want to be like that.
Yeah.
But like everybody else, we're all different. And we will all have different talents that we will nurture and grow. But that's another hurdle, is people don't understand how to shift. To shift the understanding of not wanting to impress an egotistical perception, but more so to just work with oneself and to link in with the divine, to get clarity on what it is that feels comfortable for you. There are people that will develop trance but are not trance speakers. There are people that will develop mental mediumship, but they're not very good because they are not listening to their true inner soul, which is something everybody does on a journey. They're going with what they think is best for them. You know as well that not everybody can be a successful trance medium. They may have parts of the ability, but the ability is somewhat lacking in certain aspects. So therefore their journey becomes slightly shifted, almost goes round the bend. A different perspective is then shown. But most people will not listen to the perspective that's being brought forward. They'll see it as failure and close the door. That's where the tutor comes in. Because that's where the assessment is so important.
Yes.
Assessment to understand, yes, this is the journey, this is what I want to do, and I have the ability, this is where I need to be. Without the assessment, I feel a lot of people that go with what they feel is what they need to do, and then they get lost halfway down the journey and they turn back. They always come back and they start again. But this time they have a lack of disbelief because they feel spirit had let them down. They have. If you want to become a dentist, you'll learn dentistry. And it's a long course because you learn everything about biochemistry and everything. You won't just become a dentist. But if you haven't got science and all the specialist subject matter behind you, you're not going to understand the modules that will equip you to become a successful dentist. And it's the same with spirit. You need to have the basic understanding, the talents that are nurtured from within make you what you are at the end. I hope this makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, my friend. A lot of people don't understand about reaching their soul and really listening to what their soul's trying to tell them, because they guide the way, don't they?
They choose not to listen because they feel that's how they want to be perceived. They want to be the next, evidential medium that does platform and work, with various things. And that's what they want to be. So that's what they want to gravitate towards. But they don't realize that they need to listen because they will be guided on the right path for them. It's the chosen path. It's not the path that you choose. The path chosen for you. It's how you listen and navigate through the chosen path is what makes you successful at the end. And understanding when it's the ego and when it's true soul.
Yes.
Nice.
And there's so much evidence when you're watching all the different mediums that there's comparinitis, comparison, there's ego in there. But when you actually come across true spirit, you feel it. It's wonderful. And it's wonderful to connect with you, my friend.
It's wonderful to connect with you too.
So for people that are just starting out on their trance paths, that aren't sure where they are going, um, what would be the best advice you could give them?
Best advice I could give them is to watch trance in its purest form, to watch a demonstration, to understand what is involved. Because a lot of the time, people don't quite understand what trance is about. And they dabble a little bit, they stick their toe in, and they think, oh, I think this is interesting. Then they start sitting and developing, and then they don't like the feeling of the energy and how the energy comes in and then retracts and then comes back in, and they feel a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I feel this is where, people that want to learn this art, they need to first of all find the right teacher,
Mm-hmm.
have an understanding about the feeling of energy, whether that be through Reiki, whether that be through healing, but have some sort of understanding what energy is about.
Mm-hmm.
Have some sort of understanding about meditation. Meditation is vital for this kind of work. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to catch completely is so important, because that's all about the guide connection and making that establishment so grounded. It's so important. But watching trance and understanding what pure trance is about also elevates that understanding about what you're getting involved in,
Mm-hmm.
because there are some people out there that claim to be, delivering true pure trance, but half the time it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's you feel spirit when they're there, and there is an energy shift of some sort, and when it
Yes.
is pure spirit, you feel it in the audience, you feel it
Mm-hmm.
around the demonstration, you just know. And somebody that's wanting to go into this field, I feel, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, you know, people that want to learn about trance and stuff, I feel, need to have an understanding about energy first and meditation. Because if they can meditate, then their journey is not going to be as challenging. But if you don't have an understanding about energy and how we meditate and how to still the mind and to relax completely, the journey does become a little bit of a frustration for most, because they just can't keep the mind still. And that's
Yes.
the biggest challenge that my sitter had to go through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Understanding how to detach the consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
alertness of the mind, to allow the spiritual consciousness to step forward. And that's the biggest hurdle that people need to get through. And a lot of people, they don't have the commitment,
Yes.
allow that to progress to a point where they've overcome the obstacle. They kind of quit halfway and they go, it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
See it through from the start to finish. They will progress. So I feel, to answer your question, the most important thing is to to be able to meditate, yes, to have some sort of understanding about energy, whether that be auras, whether that be healing, whether that be um, psychic work, but have some sort of understanding of energy, and then being able to meditate. Having a foundation of the two is vital, because not everybody can be a fully fledged trance medium.
Yes.
Most people will branch more into the trance healing, because that's working on a completely
Mm-hmm.
different scale, and is less challenging
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
it's less.
Indeed. Certainly is, my friend. Well, it has been wonderful yet again to have a conversation with you, my friend. And I'd like to thank you for joining us, and I send you my gratitude as I ask you now to step back with your medium and blend once again. Thank you. And as you are blending now, Quintin, send your love and gratitude to your guide for a wonderful session, as we ask him now to take the steps out of your energy field. And you will start to feel the disconnect. Then we come back to the breath, breathing deeper. Allowing your physical energy to settle. As you start to feel the weight within your body once again. As you feel the bones upon your chair and the feet upon the floor. As you are starting to feel heavier and grounded. Breathing deeply. Wriggling the fingers and wriggling the toes. And one more big deep breath in. And when you're ready, open your eyes.